Today, West Virginia celebrates a very special birthday. Our Megan Bailey brings us more.
On December 29, 1970, John Denver, Bill Danoff, and Taffy Nivert completed writing on the song Take Me Home, Country Roads. Having no idea the mark it would leave on history or the cultural impact it would have on the state of West Virginia. December 29, 2024 marks 54 years since the completion of the song and nearly a decade since it became an official state song of West Virginia. Take Me Home, Country Roads became an integral part of West Virginia's identity, nestling its way into football games, pop culture references, and everything in between. The song is a known crowd pleaser, says a local Virginia band who performs Country Roads. Called 12 Strings and the Truth, the band tells us they find the song meaningful.
It's very meaningful, you know, especially when you get to see the reaction of the West Virginians actually get to react to it and things, and sing back and sing along with you. It's really cool to see that.
The song is often seen as a source of pride amongst residents of the state and is often used in the promotion of tourism, with H.G. Young III at the West Virginia Encyclopedia writing, "In 1999, the state secured the rights to use Country Roads to promote tourism in West Virginia. Like other songs about West Virginia, Take Me Home, Country Roads emphasizes love of home place and is proudly sung throughout the state. In many corners of the world, it is often the sole thing people know about West Virginia. Though it has found a home in the hearts of West Virginians, it didn't become official until less than a decade ago. It wasn't until March of 2014 that the song became acknowledged as an official state song, an effort assisted by Dreama Denver, a Princeton resident and producer of Little Buddy Radio, which kickstarted the drive for Country Roads to be officially integrated into the list of West Virginia's state songs. I loved the song and what it said about our way of life here. It was a real honor and one of the highlights of my life to help lead the charge to make Take Me Home, Country Roads one of our official state songs. Eventually, my manager contacted John Denver's estate and spoke personally with the song's co-writer, Bill Danoff, in D.C., who gave the effort their blessing. It took a long time and a lot of effort, but 10 years ago, in 2014, Governor Tomblin and the state legislature passed a resolution to Country Roads, an official state song, in a big ceremony at the state capitol. 54 years after its completion, the song's impact and popularity remains in many ways the same.
Songs stand the test of time, you know what I mean? They don't ever get old, you know what I mean? Classics are classics no matter how long it takes.
Here for you in Almost Heaven, I'm Megan Bailey, WVVA News.
Country Roads will always be one of my favorite songs, especially one to play at the end of a WVU win. Happy birthday to Country Roads.